Try this again. Hey everybody. We'll see if this is any better in a minute or so, I guess. Let me see, I can try it out on my own broadcasting equipment.
Let's dance, and that's no
Success? All right.
Gentlemen, because it comes from Benny Goodman and his orchestra, who take their
I'll drink to that.
very seriously in purveying good music to the dancing public. And now, an original arrangement by Benny Goodman of Jingle Bells.
All right, I'm afraid this cranberry gin may have turned very sour. I'll just switch to the rye. What the? You had some Koval cranberry gin from last year. Alright, here we go. It's about as much Christmas music as you're gonna get out of me. Wow! That was bad. Hey, Bob. Miles, you gonna come up here? I see you, Miles. You coming? He's thinking about it down there. There's more working in retail than anything else, but man, after just a few years in retail, you never want to hear another Christmas song again as long as you live. Hey, the Marita. I play Whamageddon with lots of songs. Evening, Eileen. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Gina. All right, we got everything working now, it looks like. So welcome along to a time travel pub crawl. Hey, Carolyn. Miles, are you coming up here or not? I know it's a terrible mess in here. Doctor says I probably have walking pneumonia. But I'm on some pills for that now, and it's helping a lot. It's like one day of antibiotics just made all the difference to me. No YouTube. Can't help you. It should be on the YouTube. Yep, says here it is streaming onto YouTube to 13 people. Hi, 13 people.
And now Benny Goodman playing Where Am I?
Octavio sounds all right. Yeah, I feel a lot better just from like one little bit of antibiotics, honestly. Explains a lot. It's just an armchair diagnosis, like literally the doctor was sitting in an armchair. Erev Tov, Lisa. Hey, Nina. Hey, Larry. Oh, hot toddies are always in order, Marita. Been a lot of those in my feeling lately, but I'm feeling better. I am. I've been feeling just off. Gunky. Full of gunk. These last few days. Really, last about a week and a half. Although, man, if the audio's broadcasting, I don't know why you don't have it on the one. This doctor opened with, "Have you seen anybody about that cough?" Yes, many people over the last 30 years. They're like, "Well, I can call it a script." I'm like, "Oh yeah? I don't have to get like fish tank antibiotics like a Sunset Strip rocker?" Hey, Arlene. Thanks, Paula. Yeah. No, 12 days. I felt like 6 geese had been laying turds in my sinuses. Hey, Joanne. Laura, that's exactly right. Betty, I have been known to do that. I mean, I don't even notice I'm coughing some of the time. I've had this cough since I was a kid. Hey, June. Some people want to come up at me and give me their home remedies. Or ask me, "Do you realize that you have a..." I was like... Yes, Winking Owl. Wink, wink. It's Cabernet. Hey, Ed. From Warren. Warren, Illinois. I had a school group from there once. I just got replaced. I'm not doing, I was going to do 2 school groups next month, but one of them I've been replaced on. Arlie, isn't it everybody's bleak house? By consensus these days. I like Bleak House because it's so weird. Our Mutual Friend, also great. And of course, David Copperfield. Perhaps Nicholas Nickleby is the funniest. Hey, Terry. Yeah, I don't think they have a walking pneumonia shot. Gene, that is exactly what I had tonight, is Jewish penicillin. Hey, Joyce. I got a couple of rotisserie chickens the other day. It turned out we only needed the one. So the second I used for some good matzo ball soup. Yeah, we're going to let Benny Goodman finish up this song. We'll get started up properly here. On whatnot? No, I'm not. But all right, there's Benny finishing up. It feels like I've done less of a pre-show, partly because the first 2 attempts come out with green screen for no apparent reason. That means it is time for us to move on to the theme song.
Climb aboard, cause you don't know exactly where or when we'll go. Chicago Chicago 1893, or the Gilded Age in NYC. Blast off into outer space.
Hey.
Drink till you're flat on your face.
Hey.
From the comfort of your home. So if you puke alone. One day we'll even find that place in France. And don't come crying to us if you pee your pants. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Yeah!
Welcome aboard, everybody, for another time travel pub crawl. This is the third time we have done our holiday edition Drink Like the Dickens. So welcome along. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours, author of such immortal books as Mysterious Chicago the Book, Just Kill Me, a novel about a ghost tour guide who makes places more haunted by killing people at them, The Smart Aleck's Guide to American History, Murder Maps USA, most recently Graceland Cemetery, Chicago's Stories, Symbols, and Secrets. It just occurred to me, maybe we should call this next one coming out Trinity and St. Paul's Churchyards, New York, Stories, Symbols, and Secrets. I should really suggest that one. But when we started doing virtual tours just about 4 years ago now, early on we decided, it would be fun if we did a virtual pub crawl too. At the time you couldn't really go to bars. Everybody was dying to go to bars. I was dying to go to bars, but you couldn't really do that safely unless we did it virtually. And once we figured out we could do this virtually, that means we can also go to any place in time or space. And of course, we have been all over the place. I am actually a very big Charles Dickens fan. I mean, we all know the guy was a jerk. He probably did more to advance social justice than anyone else of his generation. Also a total asshole. But right here in Chicago is the grave of his no-good brother, August Dickens. Now, you all know I love my brother, but I don't really want his accomplishments on my gravestone, particularly. Alfred Dickens, I've been to his up at Trinity Uptown Cemetery, not the one I'm working on a book about, the Uptown edition. And over in Moline, Illinois, strangely, his son Francis has 2 gravestones. He died there while going on a lecture tour talking about his time as a Mountie. Now, here's the weirder thing, though, is in that same cemetery in Moline, there was this grave that said, "I will come to you." And on top of it was a pair of late model running shoes. I cannot think of a non-creepy explanation for this. This is an old grave. Like, all these people died before running shoes were a thing. But once again, big Dickens fan. This is me with Lucinda Dickens Hawksley, my Thames and Hudson publisher label mate. I got to take her on a ghost tour a few years back. She is Charles Dickens' great-great-great-granddaughter. We went to a pool hall and sang along to get lucky. It was awesome. I worked as many Dickens references onto the tour that night as I possibly could. But of course, I have in fact been traveling around through time and space for a really long time. In 1915... they found the wreck of what appeared to be a homemade submarine in the Chicago River and named it the Fool Killer. They put it on display on South State Street. For a dime, you could see the submarine and the dead guy that they claimed they found on board the thing. It disappears from the record around 1916. Probably got sold for scrap, or so people would think. But we found it. It was in the couch tomb. So it turns out this thing not only is a submarine, it also flies through time and space. It is an upgrade of the previous model. Of course, my brother and I have been traveling through time and space since approximately 1983, as seen in this picture. We've upgraded significantly. This is also a duplicator and a transmogrifier as well, of course. So today, for the Time Travel Pub Crawl, for the holiday edition, we are going to be going around to some bars that remind us of or are associated with the works of Charles Dickens and get ourselves completely smashed as we drink like the Dickens. So to start out, where shall we go? All the way to London, of course. Off here in London, we'll move right on in to the Lamb and Flag in Covent Garden. No longer temporarily closed, but look at how nice this is. You walk down this space. There I am. Walk down through this alley, this nice cobblestone space. And on the inside, there's the Dryden Room. Now, Dryden the poet was beaten up and left for dead in that alley one time. Now they have the Dryden Room. This is the upstairs area. The back room is known as the Snuggery or the Cozy. I love that. There should be more bars with a cozy or a snuggery. Yeah, that's the snuggery right there. That just seems so pleasant. So unerringly pleasant. Here's a little bit of a view of the inside that you can take. Great British pub food. Great meaning like big, of course. We could walk right in and do a little walking around here. A snuggery. So this is a great place for really classy parties, of course. You know, people sit around and discuss Wittgenstein over backgammon, as seen in this video. That is not how you do the yeah. But all right. So Charles Dickens is rumored to have spent a lot of time in this place. He never mentioned it in any of his letters or anything, but still, rumor goes, he definitely spent some time in the area, which is pretty close. For one thing, he worked in a blacking warehouse right down the street when he was a young man. That was a closely guarded secret in his lifetime, just like his affair with Nell Turner. But while he was working in that warehouse, he learned how to do shorthand. Lots of reporters hung out in this place. He was using shorthand to be a courtroom politics reporter. Reporters did hang out here, so it makes all the sense in the world that he would have been here. But once he started writing, he started putting out, looked about like this at the time, learned to write in shorthand that looked like this, and eventually wrote a series of sketches of London life called Sketches by Boz. And this was a hugely popular book, really launched his career. One of those sketches was one called The Gin Palace. This is what it looked like in a gin palace, according to the illustrator George Cruikshank, anyway. But to start with here, we're going to tell you how to make one of his famous drinks, the Charles Dickens' own recipe for punch.
These proportions and directions will, of course, apply to any quantity. Peel into a very strong common basin, which may be broken in case of accident without damage to the owner's piece or pocket, the rinds of 3 lemons, cut very thin and with as little as possible of the white coating between the peel and the fruit attached. Add a double handful of lump sugar, good measure, and a pint of good old rum, and a large wine glass full of brandy. If not a large claret glass, say 2. Set this on fire by filling a warm silver spoon with the spirit, lighting the contents and pouring them gently in. Let it burn for 3 or 4 minutes at least, stirring from time to time. Then extinguish it by covering the basin with a tray, which will immediately put out the flame. Then squeeze in the juice of 3 lemons and add a quart of boiling water.
And that is Charles Dickens' own original recipe for punch. It tastes like a very lemony black tea. It's really fun to make. It's fun to make at a party, especially because you get to set fire to the thing. Also, even though you're adding hot water to it, it packs a punch. I once got Patty Vasquez's mom really, really drunk off of this stuff. So, also, when I was buying up the brandy, I noticed that there was actually some Paul Masson brandy. I didn't know Paul Masson was even still a thing. But we can't talk about Paul Masson without bringing up Orson Welles. Can we now?
Turn camera.
Marked.
102, take 1.
With overlap, action please. Action Orson, please.
You just do anything?
No, sorry, cut. Yeah, rolling.
102, take 2.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
102, take 3.
Action please.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence, is fermented in the bottle and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So
Cut.
Paul Masson,
All right. So for a little bit of a musical interlude, what would go well while we're hanging out here at the Lamb and Flag? Besides, of course, really bad versions of Party in the USA. Why don't we do a little bit of a bit by Alice Getty? You might remember I got to go inside at this mausoleum just recently. Alice Getty, who is interred here, was a composer in her youth. She composed a piece called Pluie. So here is Pluie. We'll just kind of sit here and imagine that we're in the pub, in this nice snug pub, as we listen to Mary Crowell playing Pluie by Alice Getty. Those gates are not easy to climb. And just in time, we are back. So, all right, where shall we go next? That was Mary Crowell, the Mad Doctor of Alabama, everybody. So around the time, perhaps it was in these days that he learned to make his punch, but of course, next Dickens wrote the Pickwick Papers. Had to go, we're going to go 20 miles out here and go out to a town. Come on, here we go.
From a glass up, cheers to the pub, now I'll be okay. Yeah, 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 it's a party in the Lamb and Flag.
I'm glad I missed that party. So we are going to go outside of London to a town called Dorking. I have actually been to Dorking, strictly to stock up on postcards. But look at these kind of places, old kind of medieval jumble. There was a character early in the Pickwick Papers named Mr. Jingle. I copy one of his speeches sometimes when I'm working on the Tall Summer of George boat. Heads, heads, take care of your heads. Terrible place, dangerous work. Other day, 5 children, mother, tall lady, eating sandwiches. Forgot the arch. Crash, knock. Children look round. Mother's head off. Sandwich in her hand. No mouth to put it in. Head of a family off. Shocking, shocking. So here in Dorking is the White Horse Tavern. Now, there was a point in what they really picked up on with Pickwick Papers started out kind of slow, but then they introduced a character named Sam Weller, who was eventually hung at a place called hanging around at a place called the Marquis of Granby, that was right around where this is now. So this is Mr. Pickwick himself and all of his friends just talking. Then they met Sam Weller, who was always telling jokes that we call Wellerisms now. Like, there, now we look compact and comfortable, as the father said when he cut his little boy's head off to cure him o' squintin'. So, the Pickwick Papers, it was unbelievably popular. If you do the math, like 80% of all people who could read started buying this up after Sam Weller was introduced as a character. For the next century or so, there were all these books where they would trace all of the inns where people would go. And if you if you said something in the press about how I just went to this place where they went to in chapter 22 of the Pickwick Papers and it was really chapter 23, they would get a lot of letters. There were hardcore Pickwick Papers fanboys out there. Pickwick bros, you might say. I still think they should make a Pickwick Papers Lego set. So here's Sam Weller himself hanging out with his father. They would hang out and drink pineapple rum. So here's another one of our recipes. This is a very easy one. Rum and pineapple juice, just add to taste. And hot water, also add to taste. It is in fact really quite delicious. So, oh hey, we're getting a transmission from Mandy from effing Chicago.
Hey Adam, what are the Pickwick Papers even about?
What are the Pickwick Papers about? You mean, what is the Pickwick Papers about? The posthumous papers of the Pickwick Club? It's a book about... It's about... You know who'd know this is who'd be able to answer this a little bit better than I was? Eli. Let's beam into Eli here. Eli. Eli.
Adam,
Yeah.
what can I do for you?
So you're pretty good with trivia and stuff, right?
I'd like to think so, yes.
Do you know what the Pickwick Papers is about exactly?
Pickwick Papers. Now that is an interesting question. On the one hand, what does it mean for something to be about something? Is it the reader's impression or the author's intention that really matters? Can we really know what something is about? Now the Greeks had an interesting theory that...
Eli, you don't know, do you?
Not at all, no.
No. Well, this won't do. What is the... Oh, hey, we're getting a transmission from Layla as well.
Adam, I have a message for you from the effing Chicago headquarters. If you don't find out what the Pickwick Papers are about, Christmas won't come this year.
How does that work?
Hey, I don't know how holidays work. Don't ask me.
Okay. Did you guys hear that? Isn't there anyone who can tell me what the Pickwick Papers is all about? Okay, if we don't find out what the Pickwick Papers was actually about, Christmas isn't gonna come. All right, Hipster Bert.
Hi, Adam. I was just sitting down to a cool glass of barrel-aged kombucha.
That's gross, Hipster Bert, but I need to ask you about Charles Dickens.
Go on.
Have you read the Pickwick Papers?
Huh. You mean the book that sold to 80% of all people who could read when it came out? That's really mainstream.
Well, in 1840, sure.
My favorite Charles Dickens book is a really obscure one that you probably haven't heard of. Martin Chuzzlewit.
Right, that's the one where Martin and Mark Tapley go to America. I love that one.
It's a forgotten masterpiece. The doctor on Doctor Who said the American bit is rubbish, but he's wrong.
Agreed, but what are the Pickwick Papers about?
Don't be so basic, Adam. Miles!
Okay, you know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to go to Pickwick Place in Chicago. There was an English food restaurant there back in the late 19th century, early 20th century. I bet that. So, like Martin Chuzzlewit and Mark Tapley, let's go to America.
Charles Dickens, you're brilliant, you are. Completely 100% brilliant. I've read them all. Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, and what's the other one? The one with the ghost.
Christmas Carol?
No, the one with the trains. The Signalman, that's it. Terrifying. The best short story ever written. You're a genius. Mind you, I've got to say, that American bit of Martin Chuzzlewit, what's that about? Was that just padding or what? I mean, it's rubbish, that bit.
I thought you said you were my fan.
Oh, well, if you can't take criticism.
All right, so here in Chicago, the opening places of one of our walking tours. That was hooves, David, hooves. So here is a little corner of Chicago, one of the smallest buildings in the Loop back here, currently a coffee shop, known as Pickwick Place. And this place has been known as Pickwick Place since the late 19th century, as even then people thought it looked like something out of the Pickwick Papers. Currently there's a coffee shop there, but it used to be Abson's English Chop House, your home for great British pub food in America. If you can't get to the Lamb and Flag, you can get to Abson's English Chop House. So, since we're here in Pickwick Place, you know who I bet would know what the Pickwick Papers were all about? Let's talk to Mr. Colonel Abson himself. Colonel!
Welcome to Pickwick Place. I'm Colonel Abson. Hope you like mutton.
Do you do any special drinks here? We're on a drink thing.
Just beer. Now, how do you take your mutton?
Now, really, I just wanted to know, since you're here in Pickwick Place, do you know what the book The Pickwick Papers was about?
Did Big Jim send you?
No.
Is this another gambling raid? Where would I even keep a faro table in a place this small?
Well, people did.
Get out of here.
Okay, I was going for the Mark Tapley type of Martin Chuzzlewit characters, not Hannibal Chollop. Okay, I know a guy just a few blocks away from here who might be able to help us out a little bit more down in Newsy's Alley. Speaking of Newsy's Alley, this is where all the newspaper guys hung out. There's a great scene with Newsy's. When Martin first arrives in New York, he hears the Newsies shouting, "Here's this morning's New York sewer. Here's this morning's New York stabber. Here's the New York family spy. Here's the New York private listener. Here's the New York peeper. Here's the New York plunderer. Here's the New York keyhole reporter. Here's the New York rowdy journal. Here's all the New York papers. Here's all the particulars of the patriotic Loco-Foco meeting yesterday in which the Whigs was so chawed up, and the last Alabama gouging case, and the interesting Arkansas duel with Bowie knives, and all the political, commercial, and fashionable news. Here they are. Here's the papers. This was very much Dickens' impression of America when he came here writing American Notes a couple of years before. He didn't come back for a long time. But this was Newsy's Alley back in the old days where the newspaper guys hung out, except around the corner was the entrance to the Whitechapel Club, the press club where they would drink wine out of people's skulls. Or whatever else they had handy out of people's skulls. These were crime reporters with a sick sense of humor. They decorated the place with skeletons, actual murder weapons, actual murder evidence. And of course, we are regulars here on the Time Travel Pub Crawls. So, let's just pop on inside.
Oh, it's you. And all of your guests.
Thanks, I was hoping you could help me out.
Well, might as well come inside.
All right, Whitechapel Bunch. So we wanted to know if you know what the...
assume.
Yeah, well, we wanted to know what the Pickwick Papers is about.
Pickwick Papers? All I know is that the pineapple rum is like a beginner's version of our punch.
That's fair.
But you know, Dickens died before he could finish The Mystery of Edwin Drood. I was just about to explain my theory about how it was going to end.
Oh, no.
Please sit down. This will take a few hours.
Oh,
now,
jeez.
Let's assume that the obviously telegraphed ending with the quicklime and the ring was one of Jasper's opium dreams, and then we can...
Run! Okay, we are running away because when Droodian starts on the theory of how the mystery of Edwin Drood might have actually ended if Dickens had survived, it can go on for a really long time. So, okay. We're going to end ourselves here at the Westminster Hotel. Let's take the Fool Killer all the way to New York City, where I'll be going slightly less next month than I thought. So, this is where Dickens stayed. When he finally did come back in 1867, he stayed here in New York at the Westminster Hotel, while primarily performing at Steinway Hall. But he also hit a lot of the other cities in the Northeast. Chicagoans were furious when he didn't come to Chicago, but his health was just not such that he could take it. But he caught a nasty cold. It was probably a case of walking pneumonia, a lot like what I apparently have right now. But while he was doing the reading tours, this was trouble. He needed something that would cure what ailed him. So the guy who ran the Westminster Hotel introduced him to a drink called the Rocky Mountain Sneezer. This appears in Dickens' letters. I can't remember if this is in his letters or in George Dolby, the tour manager's book about it, which is hilarious. It talks about when they traveled between towns, they would kill time in between by going doorbell ditching. Love that. But Rocky Mountain Sneezer, you take a shot of rum and a shot of brandy, a dash of Angostura bitters and a dash of sugar, then a handful of snow. The snow melts immediately. I don't know if it really cures what ails you, but it is in fact quite delicious. But let's go ahead and move on back. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to tell us what the Pickwick Papers was about here. So, let's make our way back through hyperspace with some music from our pals, the Dead Ringers.
Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. Please do put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, a halfpenny will do. If you haven't got a halfpenny, then God bless you. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat.
Nice.
Please
Christmas
to put
is
a penny
coming,
in
the
the
goose
old
is getting
man's
fat.
hat. If you
Please
haven't
to put a penny in the
a
old
penny
man's
will
hat.
do.
If you haven't got a penny, a
God
penny
bless
will do.
you.
If you haven't got a
Christmas is
penny, then
coming,
God
the goose
bless
is
you.
getting fat.
Christmas
Please to
is
put a
coming,
penny
the
in
goose
the
is
old
getting
man's
fat.
hat.
Please to put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, then God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, the goose is getting fat. Please to put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, penny will do. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, a penny will God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, then God bless you.
If you haven't got a halfpenny, then God bless you. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat.
The Dead Ringer Quartet, everybody. Best versions is John Denver and the Muppets' Rocky Mountain Holiday. But while we are here in London, why don't we make our way to Mr. Fezziwig's ball? So, Christmas Carol is so buried under millions of adaptations today that it's very difficult to realize just what a great book this actually is. Just like, dig the prose in this, the snotty prose at the beginning. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined, myself, to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade, but the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hands shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. Now, this is really, I think, in fact, the first book where there's a review of Great Expectations where it says, "This is finally Dickens has mastered a gift that formerly mastered him." That's a very good description of it. It's like he's got his blazing talent under control for a second. Similar to like the Prince Purple Rain album. There was recently a book by Nick Hornby comparing and contrasting Prince and Charles Dickens, both workaholics, and I think he really missed out by not including that quote. But within A Christmas Carol, Scrooge, towards the end, suggests to Mr. Cratchit that they will make some smoking bishop. That is a drink that you make by putting cloves into Seville oranges, which are not the easiest thing in the world to get. Then you roast them for a while. It's tricky and it's not that good. You start with, I don't like it too much myself. 5 Seville oranges or 5 normal and 1 grapefruit, which apparently now I can't have because of my cholesterol. Bake, add cloves, add wine, let it sit for 24 hours, then add hot water. They didn't have this at Fezziwig's, though. They specifically mentioned more songs than music here. They mentioned something like the song Sir Roger McCoverley was usually the last song. Also, a song called Nottingham Ale was sung at Fezziwig's place. Here's the Dead Ringer Quartet with Nottingham Ale.
Ye surgeons who more executions have done with potions and powders and bolus and pill than hangmen with noose or soldiers with guns or miser with famine or lawyer with quill, to dispatch us the quicker forbid us malt liquor till our bodies grow weak and our faces grow pale. But mind who he pleases, what cures all diseases is a comforting bottle of Nottingham Ale. Nottingham Ale, boys, Nottingham Ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham Ale. Nottingham Ale, boys, Nottingham Ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham Ale.
Chug, chug, chug. So, there was only one of them duplicated, so it was 4 people drinking 1 beer, not 1 person drinking 4 of them. So, to take us through not only Nottingham Ale, but also Roger McCoverley, the last song, and a medley with Nancy Dawson, whose melody is best known around here as Around and Around the Mulberry Bush. Here's our infamous fiddler herself, Amy McNally. Amy McNally, everybody. Miles just knocked over a whole bunch of stuff on my desk. Her easy mien, her shape so neat, she fooks, she trips, she looks so sweet, her every motion so complete. You know you'll never be lonely with you-know-who. One singular sensation, one thrilling combination, every move that she makes. But you know, Fezziwig's party probably took place around like 1780 or so. Right in the middle of the American Revolution, come to think about it. But this is clear across the ocean. But this is before Pickwick Papers came out, in any case. So nobody, well, I don't know, maybe Fezziwig himself. Hey, Mr. Fezziwig, can you tell us what Pickwick Papers is about?
No.
Don't suppose, Scum. Okay, so why don't we move ahead a little ways in time here? But we'll stick around London and go see the Grapes. Now, the Grapes was a place described by Dickens. He called it the Six Jolly Fellowship Porters in his book Our Mutual Friend, his last completed novel, though everybody knew he was talking about the grapes. At the time, before the new embankments, the water went right up to it. The water of the river went right up. He described it as like a diver hesitating to go into the water. I really enjoy the Six Jolly Fellowship Porters. I really like Our Mutual Friend, too, featuring characters like Jenny Wren. And Raya, who was kind of Dickens' attempt to apologize for Fagin, having learned the error of his ways about anti-Semitism, at least up to a point, which is more than I can say for a lot of people this month. I especially like Lightwood and Rayburn, a couple of young lawyers, who just sit around never actually doing anything and saying things like, then idiots talk of energy. If there is a word in the dictionary under any letter from A to Z that I abominate, it is energy. It is such a conventional superstition, such parrot gabble. What the deuce? But show me a good opportunity, show me something really worth being energetic about, and I'll show you energy. And it is doubtless that all through London, two men were having the same conversation in carriage after carriage after carriage. So, everybody knew that Dickens had based this place on a place called the Grapes. The river is quite a ways away from it now. You can see it doesn't go up to the embankment at all anymore. It is currently partially owned by Sir Ian McKellen, who is occasionally even known to show up at this place and join in on pub quizzes. So, let's see, maybe the bartender can help us out with this.
Good evening, sir. Good heavens, but you look a fright.
It's been a long night.
I should say so. Perhaps a burned sherry to calm your nerves.
I hear you burn sherry well here, though nobody knows what that means, but we're all pretty drunk and cold.
Then a port negus. Now, the main ingredient is pickled calves' feet, but you can just take some lemon and orange peel, put them in port with cinnamon and cloves, and then let it steep for a while. Then add hot water. It won't make you too much more drunk, and the orange oil will warm you right up.
That sounds nice.
Oh, or a Rocky Mountain sneezer.
Oh, we've had one
Dickens'
of those.
American landlord made one for him, and
I was going to have one of those at Delmonico's a while ago, but I was hoping to ask. You seem to be more help than anybody else. What is can you tell us what the Pickwick Papers is about?
The Grapes dates back to the days of good Queen Bess herself. Try me.
Can you tell us what the Pickwick Papers is all about?
I can.
You can?
Lights, please. You see, Adam, the Pickwick Papers, there's no particular plot. It's not about anything. They just wander around eating and drinking for 800 pages.
Just like we've been doing.
Precisely.
And that's
what the Pickwick Papers is all about, Charlie Brown.
And that's what Christmas is all about too, right?
Well, in England at least.
All right, wandering around eating and drinking, that sounds like it for me. But why don't we wander our way back a little ways to St. Louis? So here's St. Louis during the time of the World's Fair. There's actually some Sea League footage here, just to have a little bit of a Chicago connection. A little bit of footage of President Roosevelt checking out the fair. Now, they've done some really cool stuff here with the World's Fair grounds. They've now got, like, the St. Louis Art Museum is on here, featuring this portrait that we're pretty sure is Mandy Crypt as a time traveler, pointing at somebody's butt, which is exactly what Mandy Crypt would be doing, traveling in time. Or this portrait of my Uncle Nate, who is super into Foghat. He always says things like, people say that Foghat went off a cliff in 1980, and I'm just like, what are you even listening to? His car is awesome. But while we're here meeting you in St. Louis, here's a little treat from our friends Bill and Marissa from New York City.
Merry Christmas! This is for you. This is my favorite Christmas song, and this is Bill Zeffiro on the piano, and my name is Marissa, and we're so happy to sing for you. Christmas future is far away. Christmas past is past. Christmas present is here to stay, bringing joy that will last. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Wishing you all the best and a great year to come. Bye.
All right, Bill and Marissa, everybody. Now we know Pickwick Papers isn't about anything. They just run around eating and drinking for 800 pages or so. It's still funny, but I think you kind of had to be there. But all right, everybody, from me and the Miles Monster, I don't really have anything to plug right now. There's nothing actually set up for next week, so we shall see. In any case, I guess I will just put this up, and we will hang out like we always do. So thanks to Eli for playing all of those bartenders. Thanks to Mary Crowell. Thanks to Amy McNally. Thanks to Marissa and Bill. Let's put the Benny Goodman back on. We'll hang out for a while. Thanks, everybody. Coming to you live with Walking Pneumonia from Chicago. Tuka Dickens Love is great. Her Tom Waits album is great. Her Imagination album is great. She has a real knack for picking good songs. I really hope she does an album of her new show, Girl Talk, where she does songs by women songwriters. I've heard of the clip of her doing Taylor Swift's Mirror Ball as a jazz song. It's great. What a good pick, too. She and Bill did a live stream of holiday songs the other night. So you should definitely be following her on Facebook, because now and then you get stuff like that. I'm gonna miss her next cabaret show in New York next time she does the Girl Talk show by like a day. It bothers me. My other upcoming tour dropped me in favor of somebody they've had a few times before. It's okay. Maybe I should have been more accommodating to her insistence that we take the Staten Island Ferry to the Statue of Liberty. Krista, I did make sure to tell the story about the union suits when I was talking to the History Channel this week. That and the time he shot himself in the balls. When he was out golfing and had rifles in his golf bag and accidentally shot himself. It was reported in the press at the time that he shot himself in the foot. Denied at the time. But then the caddy said, yeah, that happened. And the prison records, in fact, indicate that no, he did not shoot himself in the foot. He shot a hole in his scrotum. He was out golfing and he shot a hole in two. Heather, that's definitely on the table. I've suggested that a couple of times. Time Travel Pub Crawl, the book. Now that I'm an agent, it doesn't really matter that my agent didn't think she could sell it.
The National Broadcasting Company is presenting the music of...
On the table, but I haven't figured out quite how to do it. For a while I thought I had cracked it. I figured out how I could do it properly. But now I forgot. So... Well, let me show you what I was working on today. Well, you saw I posted earlier that, kind of the guy who had the long list of I need 30 Englishmen and 30 English women and 20 Frenchmen and 20 French women at the funeral, and they will each get 20 shillings for showing up, and 50 shillings to my master, and 50 shillings to the woman whose house I'm living in, etc., and 1 shilling for my sister. I thought that was hilarious. And 16 real good crap shooters to carry my coffin. But today what I've really been working on is there's this grave at Trinity Churchyard. There used to be, this one is now lost. Disappeared sometime in the 20th century, was already falling apart. But this is what I was looking up when I found that funeral report, is this old gravestone from 1731 that only had initials. It inspired a lot of comment in the 19th century. Disappeared sometime in the 20th century, but we can figure out exactly where it was. 1897 transcription gives the section number at least, and the grave in the background here is actually still extant, the John Jones one. You can just about read it. Now this also doesn't solve who these people are whose initials are on here, but we do know 1731 was a year when smallpox killed between 5 and 10% of the population in New York. So that's what I've been working on today, is trying to figure out a little bit more about this grave. There's probably not much more that can be found at this point, but I'm trying to find some good census records or something. 1730, they just weren't keeping very good track of stuff. But theoretically, we found like a Thomas Stevens, and his wife was Hilda, and his kids were Dave and Ida and Sam. You could probably say that was plausibly them. The New York Gazette was listing like the number of people who died, but not any more specific than that. But I just got a few more days to work on this book. I'm going to miss this one. It's fun. But I still got volume 2 to do, and I got to move right into the Johann Hawk book now.
And they loved it, they loved. You could never enjoy being blue until you hear Benny Goodman play the Basin Street Blues.
At some point, I really do have to do this podcast thing.
Won't you come along with me?
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on that. Ronnie had the same cold this week, but she got over it a bit faster than I did. Mine apparently developed into walking pneumonia. Although the filming went pretty well, I think. My voice got a little bit scratchy towards the end, which I don't love. Octavio, I got no idea. We'll go someplace. Karen, that's the armchair diagnosis of a doctor who prescribed me some meds for it. It appears to be walking pneumonia, but the meds sure work. A stethoscope would be required for better testing. But you didn't even need a stethoscope to hear my chest today. Protect the hawk with balls of poison, yes. Didn't I get some kind of cream alcohol last year this time? I believe I did, like an eggnog type of thing. And that was delicious. Walking pneumonia was the armchair diagnosis. There were a couple other possibilities, but it's the same antibiotics for all of them. So, oh yeah, Mom, I think I got some of that. This nighttime stuff, I'm loving it. I actually sleep all the way through the night, instead of until like 1:30. But now I want some of that like cream liqueur, eggnog stuff. What if I get just like a small thing of it? I'll check tomorrow. This has been a very expensive couple of months. And that's all on me. Hey, Kendra. I mean, the thing is, they only sell it in larger bottles normally, so I don't want to have a whole bottle of it. It's a 3-day drink. But wow, this cranberry gin had turned. Dr. Teal's chloroform spray. I could get some chlorodyne, too. It's dangerous. Fairways? No, I don't think there's a fairway here. But Vinny's ought to have something. I definitely got to do some shopping tomorrow anyway. I'll figure out where I'm going for the time travel pub crawl based on that, I suppose. I mean, for the Find a Grave Friday. Ooh, Bella, that sounds good. Chloroform, melatonin, what's the difference, right? Chlorodyne was that mixture of cannabis and laudanum that people took in the early 20th century. You can't get it anymore. Ah, Casey, that's what Jeremiah Price thought. You know what he is now? He's dead. So is everybody he ever knew. Speaking of people being dead, I started watching that show School Spirits on Netflix. It's not too bad. Glad to see it's based on a graphic novel, not a regular novels. I never watch anything based on a young adult novel. Fireball seems to have a lot of love tonight. Chlorodyne is actually what powers the Fool Killer. It's what makes time travel possible. Ooh, mulled wine from Aldi. That sounds good. I didn't know they made that. I mean, I've definitely made mulled wine from Aldi wine. Fireball candles, that's the thing? That sounds delicious.
And if your memory goes back far enough, you'll recognize this tune, the Limehouse Blues. It's still got a lot of dancing in
I had some good hot spiced wine at D-Men Tap on Belmont. It's a bar that has Nintendo. I like any establishment that has Nintendo. Complete the outfit look here. Congrats, Ren. Okay, that's interesting. I do take school groups to Cornelia Street occasionally. This group that I was going to take next month, I probably wouldn't have been able to. Maybe the one in later January, more likely. Assassinate pas pipe. I don't have anything in it. I'm just kind of chewing on it. It's just an accessory.
And how they love those fast ones. And now, Benny Goodman signs off with Someday, Sweetheart.
Good night, Nancy. Gedley, no, I drink a China Black. I smoke China Black whiskey from Iwan Rees when I'm smoking anything, or cloves when I'm gonna feel like a '90s goth again. Thank you, Molly. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. I am getting sleepy, very sleepy. Still got a book deadline, another tour to run tomorrow, so I think I had better be hopping off. We will do something next week. Next week will be the 28th. Yeah, nothing going on that night for me. So, all right, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow morning with Find a Grave Friday. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours, telling you all to stay safe and stay strong. And of course, all holiday season, make sure that you stay spooky, everybody.